Hey everybody, it's your girl Pajama Life, and we're here today to talk about the evolution of the black quarterback and a real pain. It's a bro show starting now.
Evolution. It's where we were.
Playing quarterback, it was a position of leadership. They didn't want African Americans having that type of power. We had some guys that paved the way for us.
Fritz Pollard,
Marlon Briscoe, Doug Williams,
Randall Cunningham,
Warren Moon. Whatever your dream is, you can go and achieve it.
Being a black quarterback is something that I don't take for granted.
Playing quarterback really taught me how to persevere.
They said we wasn't smart enough. They said we couldn't lead.
We're watching a story of struggle, a story of success. The black quarterback is a symbol of what's possible.
This is our moment. No better time to be great than today.
If they write a story on the National Football League, could they leave you out of it?
Hey everybody, it's your girl Pajama, and with my fellow guys here, Patrick, say hey to the people.
I wasn't sure where that was going, but I'm glad to be here.
Only love here.
I'm sure Pajama didn't know either, so here we are. But yes, hey everybody, glad to have you with us tonight.
And up next is this guy, my bro from another Mo, David.
Hey, everybody. Great to be with you tonight. So excited. Yeah, I don't know. She was probably going to talk about Jayhawks, which I'm not a Jayhawk, although I have great respect for the program, and the Kansas City Chiefs, which I know you guys are all rooting for too. So there's the shirt. So I'm kind of the outlier here, but I am still so happy to be with these two and to join you all to talk about these really fun and well done programs. We'll be hearing more about that in a moment.
Okay, the evolution of the black quarterback. Man, I learned so much, and it's to kick off our Black History Month celebration. All throughout the month, we'll be reviewing different specters of Black life through film and TV. So, but first up, this was fantastic. It had so much for you to learn, and if you're a big football fan, so much for you to recap and see, but also, telling the story of America as well through the black quarterback story. And I did not realize that the black quarterback story is over 125 years old. I mean, if you think about that for a minute, that is incredible to think about, that the first player was over 100 years ago, and we're still talking about it. But talking about it in a way now that we never have been able to talk about before, with the emergence of black quarterbacks being able to fully participate in the league finally, and the history of that. I thought it was also great to hear Michael Vick's story. He had some troubles and served time for something that maybe he shouldn't have served so much time for or any time for. But I think he came out of there a changed man and somebody who understands his legacy. And I thought that was a really powerful part of it too. But all the episodes had something unique about them that really could draw you in, especially for football fans, and especially for those of us interested in where our country was, but where our country is progressing to be. David, what did you think?
I thought this was from the opening credits, a very thoughtful and powerful piece of filmmaking. One of the good, there's a lot of reasons we watch films and documentaries. Sometimes it's for yuck, sometimes it's for fun. This was a moving and informative story that needs to be told. And in our own lifetimes, these prejudices, these bias, this just really horrible misperception of the capacity of African American quarterback, but we can look at that on many styles. But but I can remember through the SEC and where it would be a very and certainly the pro football. Warren Moon was the first quarterback that I remember seeing as a young boy, person of color. So I think it's an amazing thing, but I can remember these dumb call-in shows in the 90s talking about, well, can you really have, and forgive me, one of them as a quarterback, how angry that is. And when you look at that, and obviously today you see people are, when you take away those misperceptions, then people have an opportunity to flourish, and you have to give people those chances. And we've seen that in other sports, the point guard position in basketball, even in places, the South certainly was very segregated, but in the Big Ten, in Midwest schools, there were also kind of, even where you would see African Americans at those schools, there would be rules like, well, you can only have 2 African Americans on the court at one time. It's kind of understood. And for goodness sakes, you wouldn't want one as your point guard, which is the equivalent of the quarterback from a basketball standpoint. So it's just, so for anyone who's kind of wondering why issues of diversity, equity, inclusion, they're not passe. There is a value.
Civil rights.
Civil rights, all of those things. There is such an importance of it. And again, the timing of the year couldn't have been better for this. And the fact that football has become more of America's pastime. I guess it's going to be next weekend is one of America's big holidays that people celebrate, whether they care about a game or not. And you're going to be seeing fantastic, wonderfully gifted players of all races out there. And it's going to be a powerful, wonderful day. Probably going to be a Kansas City Chiefs victory. I'm not making any predictions as I'm not a football guy, but who knows? But this is something to watch, and just remember that preconceived notions of people are just ridiculous. Judge a person by their talent and give people a fair opportunity without any preconceived notions. Let them try. Let people try and fail before we condemn them to certain slots in life. So bravo to this.
Pat, what did you think?
Well, it was really good. It was well done. First off, just from the technical standpoint, good integration of the actual interviews with people I wasn't aware of, and I'm similar to David in the fact the first real big name black quarterback was Warren Moon. I remember playing him on. I think it was a Tecmo Bowl back in the day on the old NES. Yeah. I mean, and he was a heck of a good quarterback. So you'd always have him. And he was the only one that had a little black inset picture, and I was like, but super good. And I remember that, and it was kind of a thing, and the way America used to be was not great. I mean, I got to tell you, and I understand that currently in our tense political environment, there's a lot of pushback against that, especially from people that feel like they were in charge for years, and I want to stay being in charge because, wow, it's scary when someone else has your fate. Wonder who that would be. So, for having this kind of come out, at this particular moment, it was a very powerful reminder to people that it's the 50s weren't great for everybody. The 60s were terrible for a lot of people too. And just because you didn't personally experience it doesn't mean that it didn't exist. I've never been to the moon, but I've never, ever doubted its existence. A good example for people, you can look out your window and see it there, but I've never been there. So maybe it's just a hole in the sky, with all the other little pinholes that are the stars,
Yeah.
We need to move past that. And this was a great, well done documentary. Warren Moon, a little problematic, because of his, problems with, what he got in trouble for, whether he went to jail for too long or too little, whatever. He did some bad stuff, with dogs, and that was not great.
Oh,
not
you mean look. Michael Vick?
Yeah, Michael Vick. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's a whole different debate.
But whether but I've a little uncomfortable at the beginning, but he worked right through it. He was obviously very well spoken. Good job all the way around. I did enjoy watching the football and seeing the history, because there was a lot of those guys in the first couple episodes I never even heard of.
Right.
Yeah.
That was new to me. Good
And
stuff.
that's what's important about history, is that you need to understand where we were to where we are. You can't, I thought one of the best things the documentary said was, people just want to look at the progress, but they don't want to see the reason why we had to get there, because that involves a discussion about race, and people don't want to have. Yeah. But it's important to understand that without knowing history, and this is becoming a problem in schools of trying to erase history, is you have to understand where America was to understand the progress we made. So, but on a lighter note, I thought one of the funniest and poignant too was Cam Newton and Michael Vick talking about how Cam Newton wanted to be like Michael Vick, and he thought, he was like, what? It was chapstick. So, and Michael Vick was like, I just wanted to get a chapstick contract. And Cam Newton was like, yeah, I go to the store and I had to get me the cherry chapstick because that's what Michael Vick used. So I knew if I had the cherry chapstick, I could play. I just thought that was so cute, because that's what a kid thinks is, oh, if I wear this shirt or if I have these shoes, I'm gonna run like, I'm gonna jump like Mike, or I'm gonna run like Cam. And so it was just so sweet. And to see Colin Kaepernick and his story, and to see at the end Patrick Mahomes, which he's become the face of the game, really. Yep. It's that I think people, I won't even say like 50 years ago, 20 years ago, would not have been able to imagine. So it's super wonderful. I'm not even a football person, y'all, and I love this. So it's for everybody. Definitely take a look at it. I think you'll enjoy it, and I think you will learn a lot. So definitely The Evolution of the Black Quarterback on Prime Video. Next up is a story of cousins. And a complicated one at that, in a real pain. Let's take a look.
Wait, you're not like taking weed into Poland, are you?
Oh yeah, they don't give a shit about that stuff.
I think they very much do give a shit about that.
Yeah.
I know it's been a tough few months for you, so...
I also want to say that I know you're not the most comfortable person with people.
I'm not?
No.
Does it look real? Well, they're twice the size of you in metal, so...
You sure you don't want to come up here?
I'm good.
Can you take my picture?
That's what I'm talking about. Marcia!
Thank you, David.
But it's amazing that you're here, putting yourself out there so boldly for me.
Thank you, man.
Let's go smoke a joint.
Tickets are probably like $12.
It's the principle thing. We shouldn't have to pay for train tickets in Poland. This is our country.
No, it's not. It was our country. They kicked us out because they thought we were cheap.
Has he always been like this?
I love him, and I hate him.
What the flying jeez?
And I want to be him.
You used to cry about everything.
Yeah, it was awful. Who wants to cry about everything?
We're in a Holocaust tour. If now is not the time to grieve, I don't know what to tell you.
Of A Real Pain?
I absolutely adored this film. It was wonderful. Jesse Eisenberg wrote and directed. I think he wrote, I know he wrote it. I'm not sure
he wrote and directed it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the king of awkward. He's, if not the king, he's the crown prince of awkward. So good. Yeah. And there was so many bits in this that were cringy. It was hard to watch parts of it, because the Kieran Culkin character, who is up for an award, and deservedly so. He was very manic, depressive, bipolar.
Yeah.
Very crazy, excited, very sad. It was just all over the place, and it was really good. It was good to see Jennifer Grey getting back into it too, and I didn't even recognize her.
Beautiful.
I didn't even recognize her at first because, I mean, in everybody's head, she's still 1990 something with Patrick Swayze, and no one puts Baby in the corner, which I did laugh that when they put her in at the table, she was in the corner, which I was amused by. Anyway, so it's shot beautifully. The story moved well, and it wasn't like, a big action thing. It was character driven, emotion, history. Yeah, this was the real deal. I really enjoyed this. I was super happy to see this.
I was not. I was completely bored, and I didn't like this.
Really?
I didn't. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't empathize with them. It felt maybe it was the cringiness of it. But I thought, especially the ending, because I was kind of like, is this guy really homeless? This is what I was like, oh my goodness. What did somebody recommend to him therapy? Like, you really need to like be in therapy and on medication. I just thought I was hoping for, but I get the kind of story this is and why it is nominated, because it is character driven, and it is an actor who's writing and directing. Those a lot of times get nominations. I just didn't love it. David, what'd you think?
Well, I, like Patrick, I thought this was incredibly well done. The cousin relationship, the family. I'm an only child, but I have a lot of cousins a little older than me, but people that I hung out with and did things with and still keep in touch with. So there was that connection. Anyone who has had a loved one who is bipolar and not on meds, and the experience of that, and the closer the relationship, the harder it is. I thought that was incredibly well done. It was amazing, I think, in the performance on that alone. But then you throw in the other layers of an international trip and thinking about the Holocaust. I just thought it was very moving. It was incredible. Jesse Eisenberg gets a lot of credit for his writing and directing in this. I think I've enjoyed his stuff. I will say something, and I don't try and talk too much sports on this program because this is not about a sports program per se, but it was so egregiously annoying, and I could not like the protagonist at all as he went everywhere in his Indiana Hoosiers baseball cap.
Oh Lord.
They haven't been relevant since 1987. And we don't need to see the Hurricane Hoosiers supported in anything.
Well, hey, well that just goes along with the theme of the film, where you have this one guy who's successful trying to still support his less successful cousin, and here he is supporting a less successful program.
There you go. I love the connection. All right, Pat has been the great compromiser there, but this was really well done, and I think Culkin, man. You watch his work. He is so good. And the character he brought to life here. Oh, bravo. He's a strong contender for an Oscar.
Yeah, he's up for Best Supporting Actor, and the movie's up for Best Original Screenplay.
Yeah.
But it is with a powerhouse of other screenplays. So I don't know. And that category of Best Supporting Actor is a monster category because he's going up against Jeremy Strong. Wasn't he in Succession as well?
Yeah, he was.
So it's kind of a Succession battle, which I hated that show. That's a discussion for another time. But it's definitely I think it's something that you should watch. It does have a lot of language. It does have drug use, so you have to be careful with kids on that one. But also the story of the Holocaust and Poland, and making sure that we don't forget what happened. And so those things don't rise again as Some would say those elements are trying to rise again. All right. So that is our look at the Oscar nominated movie A Real Pain. And come back each week. We will review a Oscar nominated Best Picture movie or two until we get to the Oscars. So we'll cover those, and we've covered some other ones. Take a look at our Pajama Life playlist, and we've reviewed Wicked and Emilia Perez, and a few others. So definitely, if you want to see our takes on that, take a look at that. And my IMDb page on the Oscar nominated book adaptations. And David, that comes to the end of our show. And next week, we will watch Nickel Boys on that's at the theater, and Sing Sing is at the theater. Both of those are part of our Black History Month celebration, but also they're both nominated for Oscars. And a documentary, Stand Up and Shout, Songs from a Philly High School, which I think you will enjoy. David, say goodnight to the people.
Everybody, so long. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope that you enjoyed our recommendations for these films. I think 2 out of 3 said you should see both of these at least. But check these out. Have fun. Come back next week where we'll be having the popcorn flying at each other. So long.
Patrick, say goodnight to the people.
Good night to everybody. I will not be on next week, but I will be thinking about y'all. And just so you know, I know there is currently a big hatred of the Kansas City Chiefs because they are becoming the Patriots. But we are not the Patriots.
They're not becoming the Patriots. They're just damn good.
We had a lot of years when, we were really terrible.
We were terrible.
And I remember those terrible days. But you know what? Kansas City's not New England. Come on over here. We're a friendly town. We got great barbecue. We're not New England, and we're not going to be New England.
We're not cheaters.
I know that's what everybody's trying to say. Oh, they bought the refs. Oh, stop it. Whatever.
You don't have any money to buy refs.
I know.
Did we get a NIL deal with the Kansas City Board of Tourism? I love it if we have. Come on and get the barbecue. We're not New England. I think that is a heck of a slogan, man. I love it.
Somebody write that down, and you know what? I'll split my royalties 3 ways. No problem. We got this. But anyway, come back, see the movies, and keep getting out there to the movies. That's how they keep making all these good ones. They got to have people in the theaters. So till next week.
Till next week. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye. Chiefs. Super